I'm going to share one of my favorite creamy paneer recipes today. So paneer is really versatile and it's actually kind of like all Indians' favorite vegetarian food to go to. But I don't eat paneer that often, but when I do, I really like to do quite a kind of lavish recipe with it. So it starts off fairly easy, but I find this step really helps in a good paneer dish, and that is soaking it in some boiling water with a lot of salt. So I have got 150 grams of paneer here, cut into little cubes, and I've got 2 teaspoons of salt in this water, and I just fill up my bowl just to cover the paneer, and it has to be boiling water. And this step really softens the paneer, so no chewy paneer and no overcooked paneer, even if you do spend a little bit too long cooking it. So I'm just going to drain this water and then we'll get started on the marinade. So the marinade is actually super easy for this. It's just a little bit of salt, so I'm going to go with half a teaspoon. So obviously because of the salty water, the paneer will have a good amount of salt in it. And then 1 teaspoon of roasted cumin powder, and this is something I've chatted about quite often. Roasting cumin powder really amps up the flavors in it. And lastly, 1 heaped, and I mean pretty heaped, teaspoon of ginger garlic paste. And then the last thing, which I don't think many people do this, but if you do, then give me a shout out, is grated cheddar. And this paneer is going to be grilled. I don't have a tandoor. I wish I did, but I don't. But I'm just going to do it in my oven, which is preheating. But I find the cheddar really kind of chars the outsides and gives it the kind of slightly smoky flavor that a normal oven wouldn't give. So whatever cheese is good for this, I guess just something quite salty and umami. So I've tried Parmesan as well, and that works really well, but today I have cheddar. And it's a pretty decent sized block of cheddar because I want all the corners and the sides of the paneer to be covered. So here are my paneer skewers, and you can see I've been really generous with the cheese and the kind of ginger garlic paste on this. So this is going to go into the oven and cook while I get started on the sauce. So this little mixture is my Shahi garam masala, which I'm going to grind up. And it has cardamom, cloves, cinnamon, and Shahi jeera, as well as a tiny pinch of nutmeg. I will put the exact recipe for the amount for this video, but if you do want to make more, then it's quite easy to double up on everything or quadruple and keep it in a jar. It works really well with a lot of northern Indian dishes. The other thing for this dish is this mixture of melon seeds, and it's got some almonds in here as well. So I've got a handful of almonds, a handful of melon seeds, and hot water along with some green chili. And I find it really helps to soak it beforehand because then everything's really soft and it turns into a paste very smoothly. And again, I'll put exact amounts for this at the end. A bit of water to it to get the consistency. It's a little bit thin, kind of like milk, I guess that's what I want. And I've got a hot pan here and I'm just gonna get started. My paneer is also nearly done. So this is a fairly creamy dish. Anything Shahi means it's royal, and that's where the word comes from. So it does need a bit of a kind of heavy hand in terms of the fat in this dish, but it's not greasy. It's really delicious. And then to that butter, once it's heated up a little bit, I'm gonna add in a pretty finely cut onion. I'm using half a red onion for this. I'm just gonna chop it up as fine as I can. So I'm going to chop in a sweet red pepper. It'd be nice to have a little bit of colour and some other vegetable in this dish as well. And I'm just going to cut it up whole into little chunks as well. And a lot of people get rid of the little seeds that are inside peppers, and although you don't need all of them, actually that's what adds the flavour, so try not to get rid of the seeds. I know it's kind of something we always do, but they also make for really good little additions to a spice mix. Also to a chili oil, which is completely separate to this, but it does work, I promise. I learned it from my granddad actually. He was very against throwing any part of the vegetable away. So I think at some point I was making something in my house in India, and I said, oh, you know, obviously let's get rid of the top of the pepper, blah, blah. And he got really annoyed and he was like, no, why would you get rid of that? That's the best part of the pepper. Always use it in your food. So I'm just gonna fry off this onion before I add the pepper, so don't add it all together. Onions are getting really nice and soft. They're turning translucent. I'm gonna add a tiny splash of sesame oil to this. And this is because sesame oil is really nice and nutty. It's usually not used in Indian dishes, but we do use sesame seeds in a lot of our food. But I quite like the fragrance of sesame oil and I don't want to have the seeds in this. And as well as that, just a little pinch of sugar to caramelize the onions a bit. About 5 minutes, I'm going to add my pepper. And also half a tomato. And I'm just going to roughly chop that in. I'm just going to add this in and just give it a big stir before you add it in. And there's actually no cream in this fish, but it is very creamy because all the nuts are going to cook down and it's going to just thicken up a little bit, enough for it to seem very royal. Oh, it smells so good. And the last thing I'm going to add before I let this cook for a little bit is a bit of Gale water. And this is slightly specialist. It has a beautiful smell. It's actually from the pandan tree. And it's an essence we use in Northern Indian cooking sometimes to give it a bit of a lift. So I'm just going to add one little lid full, so it's just a teaspoon, I think. And this will take about 10 to 15 minutes on a medium heat. The sauce has been cooking for about just over 10 minutes now, and as you can see, it's really thickened up, so it's very creamy. I haven't added any cream, milk, anything to this. It's just the nuts. And at this point, I'm going to add my paneer. I've also not added any salt. That's because the paneer is pretty well salted. So again, I'm going to test that once this has gone in, along with all the little crumbs and the bits that are charred in the oven. So they're my favourite bits, actually. I sometimes eat it off the foil. It's probably not great, but it tastes really good. A pinch of salt, because the paneer inside is very well salted, and I did try one to see that. And I'm going to have a little bit more sesame oil over the top, just to drizzle again. If you want to skip out on the gravy bit, that skewer recipe is amazing, and I've done it as starters at some parties sometimes, and it goes down really well because it's like the charred paneer cubes. It doesn't even take very long in the oven. It took like 10 minutes for me. So definitely give that a go. And I hope you guys enjoyed this dish. I'm just going to try a little bit before I switch off. So let's go with, oh, and they're so soft, and please do soak your paneer at the beginning of this. It's such a key step. It's so good. I just topped it off with a little bit of rose petal and some ground almonds just to make it look a bit pretty, actually. But obviously that's not really needed if you're just going to eat it straight away. But yeah, I really hope you guys give this a little bit of a try. It's such a gorgeous dish. And yeah, again, no cream needed, just a lot of love and some good spicing. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and please leave me comments and like the video and share it with your friends. See you soon.